Welcome to Python Basics. This is lesson 2, and the subject of today is Boolean. Essentially, a Boolean is a data type that evaluates to true or false. Let's see some examples of this. All right, we are back with our online-python.com, and let's create a variable. A equals, I'm going to use parentheses because I'm going to evaluate some numbers. I'm going to say 10 is greater than 20. Now, we know that is a false statement, but we want to evaluate it anyway and see what Python shows us. All right. Python is declaring this as a false statement. Let's go back up and let's change that to 10 is less than 20. We know that's a true statement, but let's see how Python evaluates it. Let's run our script and we get a true. All right. So simple enough, easy enough. Let's use that to evaluate and make a decision based on whether something is true or false. Okay, so I'm going to erase this, and here we're going to go down to this section using Booleans to evaluate. Now, I'm going to an amusement park, and my favorite ride has a height restriction, and I'm going to say my height right now is 71 inches. So height equals 71. Next, I need to know how many inches I need to be for the ride. So ride height equals to the height that is greater than or equal to, let's say 48. 48 is roughly 4 feet tall, exactly 4 feet tall. So the ride height needs to be the height that is greater than or equal to 48. Okay? Now, if I achieve the ride height, and this is when conditions start to come in, and I'm going to use this. We haven't learned about it yet, but I'm going to use it and explain it as we go. So this is an if-else statement. So if ride height is true, I'm going to put a colon to end that, new line, and this automatically indented. And in this code block, I am going to print you are tall enough to ride. So if ride height is a true statement, meaning that the height is greater than or equal to 48, it is going to print this. Else, use a colon, new line, you see they're also automatically indented. It is going to print you are not tall enough to ride. Okay, so we got height of 71. The ride height requirement is greater than or equal to 48. If ride height meets that condition, I'm going to print this. If that is a false statement, it is going to print that. All right, let's run it. All right, it says you are tall enough to ride. Now let's complicate that or make it more complex by making this an input statement. So height equals, let's use our good friend input function, and it's going to ask how many inches tall are you? I know that I'm going to get a syntax error, but let's run it anyway. How many inches tall are you? I'm going to say 36. Press return, and I got a syntax error. And the error is greater than equal to not supported between instances of string and integer. So what this is telling me is my input right here is not being recognized as an integer, which means it cannot evaluate whether that string is greater than or equal to 48. What I need to do is force this input to be the data type of integer, and I can easily do that by, I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to use the built-in function int parentheses, and that forces anything you put in that input to be calculated as an integer. So let's rerun it. How many inches tall? I'm going to say 36. Press enter, and it says you are not tall enough to ride, because in order to ride you need to be 48 inches or taller. Let's run this one more time, make it a true statement, and I'm going to make this 49. Press enter. It says you are tall enough to ride. So now you have a basic understanding of what Booleans are and how we can use them in our programming. Further along in the course, our Boolean statements will get more complex, and there will be programs and projects that require many Boolean statements. So make sure you understand this concept. Don't forget to go back and practice what you learned in lesson 1. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day.